Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I actually just got back from the doctor, and then I went to the park and, grounded a bit. The energy within the heart has been very heavy lately. There's been a lot of heart healing that's been happening. So, as you know or may not know, spending time in nature really helps. Just with healing the heart and just helping everything to come into balance and streamlining the flow of energy. And it was very helpful. So I hope you're processing the energies that we're in. Oh, okay. But what I wanted to talk about today is compassion. If you notice on my social media platforms, whether it be Facebook or Instagram and my YouTube community, I I focus on compassion quite a bit, mainly because I think it's something that we need more of in the world. But I also understand that it's not an easy thing to cultivate. So I like to talk about it a little bit more in a more nuanced way, so that people can have an understanding of how to cultivate it. In a way that's most beneficial for their personal process. So they don't feel bad if they themselves do not have compassion. Like I said, it's a very difficult thing to cultivate. It requires a lot of heart-centered work and a lot of self-love, self-awareness, and introspection. I mean, all healing, all these things. Yeah, I talk about it quite a bit, just to guide people through the process of cultivating compassion for themselves and for other people. But what I wanted to talk about in regards to compassion today is related to a video that I saw. This did not happen to me, so just letting you know, this did not happen to me. But I saw a video where two people were talking about someone who is known and assumed to be like a sexual predator. And this person was regarded as battling demons. Now, obviously, the topic of demons can be, from a religious standpoint, like literally this person is battling demons, or it could be a little bit more like figurative, like dealing with demons, well, basically dealing with um, darkness and internal darkness, anything that motivates you to do things which are unclean or harmful or malevolent towards yourself or to other people. Doesn't really matter, but what the other person said in response was to not call them demons. It's more so not to call them demons and make whatever this person is suffering with wrong or bad, um, and to understand basically the mechanism of what led this person to do what they're doing now, whether it be what has happened to them in the past or people that had an understanding of who this person was and just didn't say anything because they wanted to use this person's talents to their own benefit, to the benefit of these people. I'm trying not to really use names. Um, and I was reading the comments, right? And somebody was saying, oh, so now we're making excuses for people who do stuff like that, who are sexual predators, and we need to stop the cycle and stop making excuses. So, this is what I want to say in regards to that, because this is actually a very common perspective when it comes to people that are trying to offer some sort of compassion or perspective on somebody's pain. And it's that compassion is not synonymous with making excuses. It is not synonymous with supporting the wrongdoings of what somebody's doing. It is not saying that what if this person has done something wrong to a person or other people, that all of a sudden, because we are acknowledging what has led to the person doing what they're doing, now what they did is right. That is not what compassion is. Okay? And to view compassion in that way shows that there's a lack of nuance and a lack of understanding. This is exactly why I like to offer perspective and insight onto the path of compassion and forgiveness, and how we go about it, is because there can be a lot of misunderstandings of this process and what it's about. Okay, so let me go back and address what this person is saying. We got to stop the cycle. Okay, well, how do we stop cycles? How is it that we're going to stop a cycle if we're not able to see the origin of the cycle to begin with? Where this pain came from in this person that called them to do or got motivated them to do what they did to other people. And what was the other thing I was going to say? It's like the origin. Oh, and I think what it is also is that what we need to understand too is look at our beliefs when it comes to people. This is a little bit, I guess, of a controversial thing. I'm not going to go too deep into it. But I think people have this assumption that automatically, if somebody does something that's bad, that this person is evil. Okay? To say something or someone is evil, I think, is a very kind of dismissive way of moving through something. I can't say 100% that there's no evil, so, I'm not going into like theological conversation. But I think we do need to be careful of using evil as a way for us to not see into a person. Because I believe that the way that we break cycles is through the process of compassion. And compassion allows us to be present with a person in their pain, and it allows us the space and the permission to really sit with them, like sitting with them and anything that it is that they want to share, how it is that they feel, and not judging it. Not judging it. We may have our own personal relationship with whatever it is that they've done, and that's like our stuff, and it's not to say that we can't, again, not to say that we can't think that things that people do towards other people aren't hurtful or harmful in any way. But in order for us to help that person, we have to see them as a human being, in the sense that something more than likely happened to them or is, within the being that moved them into that place of what they did. Compassion also allows us to understand that a person's experience is theirs. It's their experience of life. And we have to be mindful of our judgments, because we don't know how close we were in our lives to being where that person is right now. It could have been just one small decision, one small just deviation off the timeline that could have put us in the very same situation that they're in, right? So we really have to be mindful of our own beliefs and what I call like our own inner workings, so that we can see, what's keeping us from having heart for other people's experiences. So like I said, the way that we stop cycles and we end the cycle where it's at is that we have to give people the opportunity to have their experiences and to share them if they're in a space where they do want help. That's, obviously the person has to want help. If they do want help, let them have the experiences and know that it's okay for us to have understanding for them. So that's the other thing. I think people feel that if they have any sort of compassion for somebody, it's a sign of weakness. Almost like when somebody's going through that level of pain, you have to be mean to them and you have to have no understanding, because I think, like I said, I think it goes back to this idea that when somebody does something like that, like they're a sexual predator or they rape or whatever the case may be, that's just evil. And when evil is in the picture, you have to stomp it out, which means there's no compassion, there's no nothing. And, we got to be careful of that. Like I said, if we want to end these cycles, we can't approach behavior in that way. Like I said, there's always exceptions. If someone doesn't want help, then, what are you going to do? You can't force someone to want help. But in situations where someone does want help, having compassion and understanding for, and honestly, even if someone doesn't want help, let's even go down that line. Let's say someone doesn't want help. We can't force that. We can't force someone to get help, but we can still have a sense of understanding that something led them to where they're at. Something led them there. And to have an understanding for that. You can, and this is what people struggle with, I think, is that you can have an understanding of where someone's been, or a compassion for their pain, and also have the view that what they're doing is wrong. Both can be true at the same time. You can do both, but I think people struggle to do both. Because like I said, I think people think that if you have compassion or understanding, that you're condoning the behavior, or that you come off as being weak. Sometimes compassion is seen as a weakness. I'll just go into this a little bit. I don't want to make this video too long. Maybe my angel light's making me talk a little bit more. But it kind of reminds me of earlier on in my journey when I was still working on my inner power, working on my sense of strength and standing up for myself. I would be almost hyper vigilant when it came to standing up for myself and defending myself. And it took me some time to realize that some of those reactions and responses were not necessary. And it's because I didn't really have a true understanding of what power meant. So I would just react automatically. No one is gonna, belittle me. No one's gonna do this to me. And typically that level of hypervigilance and kind of jumping on every opportunity to defend yourself kind of denotes that you don't actually believe in your power still. Because when you believe truly in your power, you're solid in it, and you don't have to be so reactive all the time. You're able to really tune in and see, okay, what is the response, and when is it necessary? In what situation is it necessary? I'm just sharing this experience because I think it's something similar with compassion. I think when people are not solid in their own sense of, their own beliefs about compassion, understanding, judgments, being judgmental, and their own sense of love, that compassion seems like a weakness because they have not cultivated enough love in their hearts to be able to have that for other people's experiences. So it's seen as weakness. So yeah, and I'm not criticizing, I'm just offering some perspective on why people may have fear in having compassion, because they themselves have not gathered up the strength and stability within the energy of love, whether especially for themselves, to be able to go in that direction. So that's all. So I hope this, sorry, I'm on my laptop, just checking things. I hope that this offered some sort of perspective for you and helped on some level. So I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.